had the privilege of chatting with Julian Ball, the creator of Lens Island, a full-time game developer that has over 3,000 very positive reviews on Steam, and it's not even fully released. I asked Julian about how he went full-time indie and how you can potentially do it too. Stick around because you're going to hear from an actual indie game developer in the trenches funding his own game studio right now. First off, I want to know, how did you fund Flow Studio? Because a lot of people listening right now are thinking, how can I go full-time and how can I make an indie game full-time? So do you mind if I ask where the money came from?
Sure.
And how you're funding a team? I mean, my goodness, that's very expensive, you know?
Yeah, I'm pretty transparent, so any questions you got, I'll answer.
Okay, yeah, let's do it.
But yeah, so I guess there's multiple stages in the sort of the funding and the journey, and some of those stages are sort of quite unique to my position or just like a YouTuber's position, but I guess becoming less unique nowadays. So yeah, initially I had a YouTube channel that was relatively successful. I think completely prior to game dev and Lens Island, I had, I don't know, a couple 100,000 subscribers. And it sort of made me like a equivalent on Australian salaries, like a low end sort of salary, maybe like 40 grand a year or something. So when I quit my job, like that helped support me a little bit. And then we launched a Kickstarter for like the very first iteration of like early access Lens Island. We raised around $60,000. So that money basically got us to, so from like me quitting my job to launching early access, and it took around like a year and a half, 2 years. That's what sort of filled in that void. And then like the launch was like successful. Like, I think we sold, I'm probably going to misquote the numbers now. We sold like 30,000 copies in the first week or something like that.
That's amazing,
and like,
man.
that's like a good amount of money. And then at this stage now, we've sold like 200,000 copies. So like, you know, I think it's like $3 million gross. So like that spread over, you know, X amount of years of like 3 or 4 years is what keeps the studio alive. But I quite literally did grow from just sort of like the money in my account was just paying rent and food. And that was like the running costs of the business. To at one stage, like we're burning like 100 grand a month, you know, and that was the running cost of the business. So I've sort of gone through the whole pipeline.
Oh my word.
But just honestly, just having a successful game is what is like the main thing that has funded the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like the initial creation was just my savings, my YouTube, and then a Kickstarter to get it over the line. And then since then, it's just selling the game and trying to keep it growing and making sure there's just enough left in the tank to get to 1.0.
Wow. That's, it's a big gamble, dude. Like, it's a lot of, I mean, I'm sure you're saving money and I don't know, maybe you are, or maybe you're not saving money, but it seems like a big gamble to just spend that much money on a game for 5 years, you know? Do you feel like it was a big gamble?
No, like for me, it's just, well, like in the lens of someone outside of my shoes, it probably is a big gamble. But for me, it is just like inevitable. It's just like, it's just like the necessity of the situation. It's like, I want to make a big game. I'm inexperienced and I don't have a big game studio behind me that's made several games before. Yeah. Therefore, there's literally only one way to go ahead. It's like, you know, if I want to do it this way and self-publish and not have any external funding, it is just put everything into that game, which just means like we've got razor thin margins. You know, my savings are just the game, the business's savings account. You know, if there's ever any money that needs to come from somewhere that sales don't cover, it's always my personal money, and my sort of saving up for a house, longevity, all of those sort of personal financial decisions just don't really exist to me right now. All that exists is like pushing the vehicle of the business of the game forward, because all that stuff could just come as just like inevitable outcome if the sort of the game studio reaches the point that I want it to reach. But I can't sort of play it safe, keep a really small team, so keep a bunch of the money myself, as well as sort of be successful and launch a game quickly and I sort of can't have my cake and eat it too. So for me, it's not really risky. I'm fine with it. It's what I signed up for. It's fine.
Yeah. So did you mention YouTube as a source of income for you prior to early access?
Yeah.
Okay, how are you making money from YouTube, if you don't mind me asking?
It's like AdSense and sponsorships. Like I literally,
Sponsorships, okay.
I sponsorshipped you. Like you sponsored me to do a couple
That's right,
videos.
that's right, yeah, I did.
Yeah, but really just that. And then I also I worked as a graphic designer prior to YouTube. But then I also sold like graphic design packs and like some other stuff like that.
Yeah.
But mainly just like AdSense and sponsorships.
Sweet, that's great. So people listening right now, if you want to start a YouTube channel that's focused on your game, per Julian's history, you can sell assets. You can also do sponsorship gigs. And for me, in my experience, it's like $200 to like $3,000, depending on what you do, for a video that gets like 10,000 views, which it's a pretty good rate for me. I used to do it, and then I eventually just started sponsoring myself, like you said, with resources, selling resources and stuff. By the way, if you're like me and you always dreamt of making an indie game as a full-time job, I have a free webinar below that goes into exactly how to make 6 figures with just a demo. I was just like you for years. I thought I had to make a game in its entirety before getting a paycheck, but there's actually 3 ways to make 6 figures before even finishing your game. I've done this multiple times, so check it out below if you do want to go full-time indie. And thanks for watching.